You know, I've never really been one to complain about the ratings for Rotten Tomatoes for certain movies, but for this one, I have to break the ice. A 46%. Really? Snow White and the Huntsman is the second of the two Snow White movies that have released this year based on the famous Grimm brothers fairy tale. However, this one is a much more darker and stylish looking film than Mirror Mirror was, which I still have a bad taste in my mouth ever since I saw it way back almost 2 full months ago. This time around in this version, Kristen Stewart plays Snow White, Charlize Theron plays the evil queen, and Chris Hemsworth plays the huntsman that is sent out to capture and kill her for the queen. However, of course, things happen, if you know the fairy tale, of course, and what ensues is Snow White to become the hero that she's destined to be and take over the Queen's land by leading a huge epic battle in the process. Now, I've been intrigued by this movie for a pretty long time. It dates all the way back to Comic-Con when they showed the first concept art and costumes for the movie, and also they had Kristen Stewart, Charlize Theron, Chris Hemsworth, and the director Rupert in person talking about the film. And in the end, I can't really fully say that ambition hit the tipping scale for being something totally phenomenal like the trailers made it look out to be somewhat. However, in the end, despite those very mixed reviews, I actually really enjoyed this movie. It lived up to almost completely to my hype that I had for it, but I was a tad underwhelmed too, though. If you've never really been a fan of Kristen Stewart as an actress, even outside Twilight, then this movie certainly is not going to change your opinion on a drastic measure in that case. However, for the fact that I do enjoy her performances outside Twilight, granted I've never watched her in Twilight, but just watching the trailers alone is enough for me to perceive what her performance would be like. I have seen almost the rest of the movie she has starred in, namely Adventureland and Into the Wild, which are my favorites at first. I think she does really good in movies that are outside that demographic of Twilight, and in this movie she sort of combines both of them because the mopey nature that she has in Twilight actually transcends in her performance in this, but it's actually for better reasoning than you may perceive it to be because her character, Snow White of course, is one that is very down because of the life she has been granted by the evil queen. So it actually works to an applicable measure in this film, and at the same time combining her acting that she's used before, she actually does better than I thought. Even though her performance is nothing memorable, it's still serviceable for the character that she's playing though. Chris Hemsworth on the other hand though, I did think was good, but there were a few things that prevented me from liking him more than other performances in this movie though. Specifically the fact that his Scottish accent slips continuously. Like, I don't even know if he was trying to use the Scottish accent continuously or if he's just talking in his Thor voice the entire time. I don't know if they're just supposed to be same accents or everything, but it was just kind of going all over the place. But besides that though, he does good in the role, but the character though felt slightly underused, specifically for the fact that his character is the second half of the title of this movie, and he just didn't really seem to do enough as I thought he would have in the movie, so I was left slightly underwhelmed with that factor. But Charlize Theron on the other hand, wow, does she do a great villain as the evil queen. I really like Charlize Theron. She's one of the best working actresses in Hollywood today, and here in a blockbuster which we don't really get to see her in besides Hancock, which was over 4 years ago almost, she does a really good job in this role. She has a lot of malevolence and a lot of menace to the character, and you do feel feared by her because she has a lot of menace built up inside her, and her line delivery is intentionally over the top at times, but just the way that she chooses to deliver a lot of her dialogue, it just feels very menacing at the same time. For a first-time director, Rupert also does a terrific job at bringing this tale to life, but also adding a very dark and grimy style within his direction because a lot of this movie, the colors are very light and everything just looks very dark. I really liked how he conveyed that for most of the movie, but then when it turns into the more lighter and colorful aspects of the movie, they look stunning in a visual aspect. However, there is one thing that's going to divide people with how he paces this movie specifically because it is a very gradual film in which he consistently builds up the events. I think a lot of people would expect this, since it is a blockbuster, to kind of go through some things as quick as possible at points. I like how he gradually develops some things, but there was one thing that I was kind of mad that he left out, but maybe this is the scriptwriter's fault though too, is that they left out the part where they really train Snow White to be the hero that she becomes in the final battle for the film. And they just rush it to the point after she ends up giving a speech, and then it just goes, okay, she didn't see any training though, so we're just supposed to accept that. Any other minor nitpickets in this film can go to points that were also rushed and also some underutilizations of the characters, but I really enjoyed Snow White and the Huntsman. It was the much better of the two Snow White movies that have released this year, and if you're not a fan of Kristen Stewart, as I said, don't even bother seeing this, because if you haven't enjoyed her performances in the past, even with Twilight in accordance, you're definitely not going to have your opinion changed on that. But for me, I really enjoyed this movie, especially on a visual standpoint, because the visual style, direction, the art direction, costumes, they all look fantastic. But I'm going to give this movie 3.5 out of 5 stars though. So I hope you enjoyed my review of Snow White and the Huntsman. I have 2 more reviews coming for you guys this weekend, and also be sure to comment below with your thoughts on this movie, because I'm really interested, because the mixed receptions are also starting to add on to the audience reactions as well. So in the meantime, I'm talking CaliCritic reviews, and I'll see you guys later. Goodbye.